Homily for the second Friday in Lent. Prayer by St. Augustine. Do ye think, brethren, that God doth not know what is needful for you? He knoweth, and he preventeth our desires, who knoweth our want. And so when he taught his disciples to pray, and he warned them not to use many words in prayer, he saith, Use not many words, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. If our Father knoweth what things we have need of before we ask him, why do we use even few words? What is the use of prayer at all, if our Father knoweth already what things we have need of? He saith to one, Do not make thy prayer to me at great length, for I know what is needful for thee. If so, Lord, why should I so much as pray at all? Thou wouldest not that I should use long prayers, yea, rather, thou dost even bid me to use near none at all. And then what meaneth that precept in another place? For he who hath saith, Use not many words in prayer, saith in another place, Ask, and it shall be given to you. And that thou mightest not think that this first precept to ask was curiously given, he added, Seek, and ye shall find. And that thou mightest not think that this was too given curiously, see what he added further. See with what he finished, Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. See what he added? He would have thee ask that thou mayest receive, and seek that thou mayest find, and knock that thou mayest enter in. Seeing then that our Father knoweth already what is needful for us, and how do we ask? Why seek? Why knock? Why weary ourselves in asking and seeking and knocking, to instruct him who knoweth already? And in another place the words of the Lord are, Men ought always to pray, and not to faint. If men ought always to pray, how doth he say, Use not many words? How can I always pray, if I so quickly make an end? Here thou biddest me finish quickly, they're always to pray and not to faint. What doth this mean? Now that thou mayest understand this, ask, seek, knock. For this cause it is closed, not to shut thee out, but to exercise thee. Therefore, brethren, ought we to exhort to prayer both ourselves and you, for other hope have we none amid the manifold evils of this present world than to knock in prayer, to believe and to maintain the belief firm in the heart, that thy Father only doth not give thee what thou knowest is not expedient for thee. For thou knowest what thou dost desire, he knoweth what is good for thee. Imagine thyself under a physician, and in weak health, as is the very truth. For all this life of ours is a weakness, and a long life is nothing else but a prolonged weakness. Imagine thyself to be sick under the physician's hand. Thou hast a desire to ask thy physician leave to drink a draught of fresh wine. Thou art not prohibited from asking, for it may chance to do thee no harm, or even good to receive it. Do not then hesitate to ask. Ask, hesitate not. But if thou receivest not, do not take it to heart. Now if thou wouldest act thus in the hands of a man, the physician of the body, how much more in the hands of God, who is the physician, the creator, the restorer, both of thy body and soul. Wherefore, see how the Lord exhorted his disciples to prayer, when he said, You could not cast out this devil because of your unbelief. For then exhorting them to prayer, he ended thus, This kind is not cast out but by prayer and fasting. If a man must pray to cast out devils from another, how much more to cast out his own covetousness? How much more to cast out his own drunkenness, his own luxuriousness, his own uncleanness? How many things in a man are there, which if they are preserved in, allow of no admission into the kingdom of heaven? Consider, brethren, how a physician is entreated for the preservation of temporal health. How, if any one is desperately ill, is he ashamed or slow to throw himself at a man's feet, to bathe in tears the footsteps of any very able chief physician? And what if the physician say to him, Thou canst not else be cured, except I bind thee, and use the fire and knife? He will answer, Do what thou wilt, only cure me. With what eagerness does he long for the health of a few days, fleeting as a vapor, that for it he is content to be bound, and submit to the fire and knife, and to be watched, that he neither eat nor drink what or when he pleases. All this he will endure, that he may die a little later, and yet he will not endure ever so little that he may never die. If God, who is in the heavenly physician over us, saith to thee, Wilt thou be cured? What wouldst thou say but yes? Or is it may be that thou wouldst say no? Or it may be that thou wouldst not say so, because thou fanciest thyself to be in health, that is, because thou art more grievously sick? Let us then pray, and rely on God. Let us live as he enjoineth, and when we totter in this life, let us call upon him as the disciples called, saying, Lord, increase our faith. Peter both put his trust in him and tottered, but notwithstanding he was not disregarded and left to sink, but was lifted up and raised. For his trust whence was it? Not from anything of his own, but from what was the Lord's. How? Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. For I know that if it be thou, thou biddest, and it is done. And he saith, Come. Peter went down at his bidding, but in his own weakness he was afraid. Nevertheless, when he was afraid, he cried out, Lord, save me! Then the Lord took him by the hand and said, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? He first invited him. He delivered him, as he tottered and stumbled, that it might be fulfilled which was said in the psalm, If I said, My foot hath slipped, thy mercy, O Lord, aided me. Thus are then two kinds of blessings, temporal and eternal. Temporal blessings are health, substance, honor, friends, a home, children, wife, and the other things of this life in which we are sojourners. Put we up then in the hostelry of this life as strangers passing on, and not as owners intending to remain. But eternal blessings are first. Eternal life itself, the incorruption and immortality of body and soul, the society of angels, the heavenly city, glory unfailing, Father and fatherland, the former without death, the latter without a foe. These blessings let us desire with all eagerness. Let us ask with all perseverance, not with length of words, but with the witness of groans. Longing desire prayeth always, though the tongue be silent. If thou art ever longing, thou art ever praying. When sleepeth prayer? When desire groweth cold? So then let us beg for these eternal blessings with all eager desire. Let us seek for those good things with an entire earnestness. Let us ask for those good things with all assurance. For those good things do profit him that hath them. They cannot harm him. But those other temporal good things sometimes profit and sometimes harm. Poverty hath profited many, and wealth hath harmed many. A private life hath profited many, and exalted honor hath harmed many. And again, money hath profited some, honorable distinction hath profited some, profited those who use them well, but from those who use them ill, the not withdrawing them hath harmed them more. And so, brethren, let us ask for those temporal blessings too, but in moderation, being sure that if we do receive them, he giveth them, who knoweth what is expedient for us. Thou hast asked, and what thou hast asked hath not been given thee? Trust thy Father, who would give it to thee were it expedient for thee. Lo, judge in this case by thine own self. For such as thy Son, who know not the ways of men, is in regard to thee, such in regard to the Lord art thou thyself, who knowest not the things of God. Lo, thy Son cries a whole day before thee, that thou wouldest give him a knife or a sword. Thou dost refuse to give it him. Thou wilt not give it. Thou disregardest his tears, lest thou shouldest have to bewail his death. Let him cry, and beat himself, or throw himself upon the ground, that thou mayest set him on horseback. Thou wilt not do it, because he does not know how to govern the horse, which may throw and kill him. To whom thou refusest a part, thou art reserving the whole. But that he may grow up, and possess the whole in safety, thou givest him not that little thing which is full of peril to him. And so, brethren, we say, pray as much as ye are able. Evils abound, and God hath willed that evil should abound. What that evil men did not abound, and then evils would not abound. Bad times, troublesome times. This men are saying, let our lives be good, and the times are good. We make our times, such as we are, such are the times. We cannot, it may be, convert the mass of men to a good life, but let the few who do give ear live well. Let the few who live well endure the many who live ill. They are the corn, they are in the floor. In the floor they can have the chaff with them. they will not have them in the barn. Let them endure what they would not, that they may come to what they would. Wherefore are we sad, and blame we God? Evils abound in the world, in order that the world may not engage our love. Great men, faithful saints, were they who have despised the world with all its attractions. We are not able to despise it, even disfigured as it is. The world is evil. Lo, it is evil, and it is loved as though it were good. But what is this evil world? For the heavens and the earth and the waters and the things that are therein, the fish and birds and trees, are not evil. All these are good, but it is evil men who make this evil world. Yet as we cannot be without evil men, let us, as I have said, whilst we live, pour out our groans before the Lord our God, and endure the evils, that we may attain to the things that are good. Let us not find fault with the master of the household, for he is loving to us. He beareth us, and not we him. He knoweth how to govern what he hath made. Let us do what he hath forbidden, and hope for what he hath promised.